Saturday, the 9th of June 2012, and tonight, KTN turns a spotlight on the plans by government to distribute free syringes and needles to drug users in Mombasa and in Nairobi. This evening, we're asking, is this really necessary?
And of course, we'll be having the chairman of the board of the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, to answer and shed more light on the same. And still in this bulletin, another building collapses and traps several people. Where are the authorities to enforce building codes?
Well, I'm Edith Kimani.
And I'm Joy Doreen Bira.
Joy Doreen Bira will be joining us for that interview in a short while. But first, let's have a look at the highlights. Scores trapped as building collapses in Nairobi. Why is the government bent on supplying syringes to drug users? Minor Njenga declares interest in State House job.
Forever, solidarity forever.
And still on KTN, patients furious Gertrude's doctors go on strike. We're glad you could make time to be with us on KTN Saturday night, which begins right now. Several people are feared dead while others are trapped after a building collapsed in Nairobi's Mlolongo area. Now, eyewitnesses say the building, which was under construction, collapsed at about 6 p.m. Several construction workers are said to have been inside the building at the time of the incident. Rescue operations have been hampered by darkness and a huge crowd that has gathered there. Now, lack of equipment to lift the rubble and boulders is also making it difficult for the rescue team to reach the injured. Area residents and rescue workers from the Kenya Red Cross are struggling to reach survivors using bare hands, sledgehammers, metal cutters and crowbars while shouting encouragement through open holes in the rubble. Rescue workers say they do not know how many people have been trapped, but they can hear the tapping or muted voices from the rubble and are concentrating their efforts to remove boulders to rescue the injured. People in the streets joined rescue workers pulling chunks of concrete and debris off trapped victims. A Reuters reporter said that ambulances sped from the scene of the injured while heavy construction equipment was being brought to the area to clear the wreckage, surrounded by a crowd of hundreds of onlookers. Remember, it's a breaking news story, and if more details do come up on that, we'll be bringing them to you on KTN. To distribute syringes to drug users across the country or not to distribute the needles? That is the question. It is an issue that continues to raise debate among various groups in the country, as a section argued that distributing the needles amounts to sanctioning drug abuse. Or does it? KTN visited Nairobi's Kawangware estate, where drug use is rampant, and spoke to drug users who, while backing the suggestion, they say the problem runs much deeper than just the sharing of needles.
A hand stretches out to store this most precious possession in a safe place, on the roof. In Nairobi's Kawangware estate, this is nothing out of the ordinary. This is an area where drug use is common, and drug users are aware of such nooks and crannies. When they are done, they will return the needles to the same places ready for other drug users. Yet these drug addicts are not unaware of the dangers of sharing needles, and so they engage in a curious ritual. Their saliva, they believe, will sterilize the used syringes, making them safe for use. It is a superstitious ritual that only gives them temporary peace of mind. Statistics by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime show that 1 in every 5 people who inject drugs in Nairobi and Mombasa are living with HIV and AIDS. Of these, over a third have reused needles in the past 6 months. There are over 50,000 intravenous drug users in Nairobi and Mombasa alone.
Kawangware is the highest in transmission of HIV through injections. It's 22.7%. 27.7%.
This is why the government now proposes to give drug addicts clean syringes, a suggestion that has sparked widespread debate, with a section arguing that this amounts to sanctioning drug abuse. But drug users see things differently. This house serves as a refuge for the drug users, while the one across serves as a shelter for commercial sex workers. The relationship between the two groups serving to further complicate matters, so that the idea of free needles is welcome.
Unakuta bwana yako ni addict pia yeye, kwa hivyo maybe yeye anafanya injection na wewe pia unavuta na roster. Yeye ameambukishwa ugonjwa na syringe huko na yeye anakuletea ugonjwa, mnakuwa mmeambukizana nyinyi wote. Zaomba tutoe syringe. Nimesikia jana tukiambiwa kujipaka, nimejidunga.
NGOs are already laying the groundwork to distribute the first batch of 8 million needles at the coast, which has been hard hit by the drug problem. Each addict would be entitled to 3 needles per day. This, it is hoped, will help curb the spread of HIV and other diseases. But the problem, that is drug abuse, continues to cast a shadow over the country, even as the drug users put forward another option.
Sasa tungeomba kama tungeweza kusaidika. Sana sana ile kitu tunaweza ni rehab, tunaweza kama mimi naivuta miaka 20 na utaka kuitoka, lakini hizo pesa za rehab sizipati inabidi na, lakini kivuta bado nimeichuki, ambapo kuna mwingine na mwingine ako hivyo.
Amul Kisanyabo for KTN Saturday Night.
Well, Kistanyaba, opening this bulletin with the harsh reality of drug use in the country. And Joy Doreen Bera takes over from here with the chairman of the board of the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse, or NACADA, to shed more light on this issue. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you very much, Edith Kimani. Now, of course, in the studio with us is a very important guest to enlighten on this very issue in regard to the distribution of syringes and needles. A very good evening to you, Dr. Frank Njenga.
And to you.
It's an honor to have you in the studio with us today.
My privilege.
And well, Dr. Njenga is the chairman of the National Agency for Campaign Against Drug Abuse, and he's also a psychiatrist. Now, well, without wasting much time, what is the rationale behind this program?
The rationale behind what is popularly described as the needle and syringe program is that it stops the spread of HIV, first of all, amongst drug users, injecting drug users, but even more importantly, from injecting drug users to the rest of the community. The science behind it is been accepted by the World Health Organization, the United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations Office on Crime and Drugs. In other words, the entire United Nations agencies have accepted this, including United Nations AIDS organization.
So who exactly is behind this? Is this the Medical Services Ministry? Which sector of the government is basically?
It's the Ministry of Medical Services and also the Ministry of Public Health, and because this is a medical matter. We in NACADA are an advisory body. What we have done as NACADA is we have gathered all the information from all the international agencies and bodies. This week we brought together all the experts from all the medical ministries, health and public health, including the Poisons Board and the Pharmacies Board, all of them together under one roof, together with the international agencies, to consider the evidence, and the evidence is overwhelming.
Well, considering that the evidence is overwhelming, you know, and there could be some success stories from other countries that maybe this has been, you know, done. But for Kenyans, and considering the number of ignorant, you know, citizens who might not exactly use these syringes to the best, would you actually say that this is the prime solution to
it's not.
stopping infectious
if government
diseases?
stood in a corner street and gave every drug users needles and syringes, it would represent catastrophic failure. And I don't think that there is any serious government anywhere in the world that would use needle and syringe programs on themselves because they would fail. Needle and syringe programs are the smallest component of a nine-point pronged attack that include, for example, once you invite injecting drug users to come to you, you make them available, for example, to the use of antiretrovirals. You give them voluntary counseling and testing. You give them antituberculous medication. You give them family planning. You give them rehabilitation. In other words, like the people you have just seen on that clip, you humanize them, you Kenyanize them, and you allow and enable them to enjoy that which they are entitled to under our new constitution, which is the best level of health attainable.
Well, if I might just interject, African countries are so very well known for, lack of awareness and sensitivity towards the public, informing them on the positives or the merits and demerits of different issues. How sure are we that, the distribution of syringes and needles is going to be done in a very sensitive awareness way?
We have KTN. Here we are. This discussion we are holding now is part of the nationally available resources intended to remove the stigma and ignorance from well-meaning Kenyans who are yet to receive the information and knowledge that we are not just distributing needles and syringes, that in fact we are inviting fellow Kenyans who have the disease of drug abuse to come and enjoy their constitutional rights.
So in this case, you're saying that this specific distribution is meant for those who have failed to come out of their drug addiction or their drug...
It is intended for those Kenyans who have the disease of injecting drug use, who voluntarily come to government and government agencies and plead with government agencies and say, we need help. We need help to stop using drugs. We need help to treat tuberculosis. We need help to treat this virus that is in our body.
Right.
We need to be Kenyans again, and we need to be exposed to all the strategies, including needle and syringe programs that are available, including methadone. Methadone is a medicine we give injecting drug users that all over the world has been used for more than 30 or 40 years with incredible effect. But
let's just bring it down to the ordinary level. I'll give you an example of what just ran in the story just about now, where they were saying some of these drug users, especially those of them who use narcotic drugs, most of them could be sharing neighborhoods with commercial sex workers, for example, in Kawangware. I would like to put myself in a situation like that. There's going to be a possibility that these people sharing a same neighborhood could be sharing the same syringes and needles as well.
You've got it completely right. Injecting drug users, commercial sex workers, men who have sex with men, these are the most at-risk Kenyans who need our care and compassion.
Exactly. So
by getting to them.
Why not rehabilitate them and not giving them a cause to continue using drugs?
One of the most important strategies that include needle and syringe exchange programs is rehabilitation. As I say, needle exchange programs is the smallest of a very, very, very big. It's just that it's the most dramatic and it's the only one the general public is talking about. But in fact, the reality of it, we have a huge number of strategies, including and in particular rehabilitation as the ultimate goal.
Yes.
The ultimate goal is to stop people using drugs, but you can only stop using drugs if you're alive and have not died from transmission of hepatitis and HIV/AIDS. So you stop people from dying, keep them alive, and then take them to rehab centers.
Well, I'll just ask one final question. You know, most of these drug users actually are people whose income might not be as good, and considering the fact that their income is not as good, sometimes they buy drugs and share these drugs, you know, from one syringe to another, because they're just trying to help each other, you know, because the addiction is very high. What are the odds here that this program is going to be valid, considering they will get these syringes and needles but still share the drugs that are being injected?
One of the greatest benefits of the kind of programs that we're getting here is not even medical. it is in the criminal justice system. A lot of crime that you see in Kawangware, in Kisauni, in all the part of big cities is what is called acquisitive crime, meaning that it's crime that is associated with human beings who go to steal your television and your bracelet and other things to fund their drug using habit. If you can help people stop using drugs, then crime goes down. The evidence all over the world is overwhelming. And let me say this also. The evidence that needle and syringe programs do not, let me repeat, do not anywhere in the world increase or introduce people into new use of drugs is overwhelming. In fact, if anything, these kind of programs, including the drug called methadone, reduce crime and reduce new people who use drugs.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Frank Njenga. It was an honor having you in the studio tonight. And we'll be sure contacting you for more information in this regard. Well, speaking to us has been Dr. Frank Njenga, who is the chairman of the National Agency for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, also known as NACADA. And well, my name is Joy Doreen Bira. In case you have any more questions, KTN will keep you posted on what exactly this government program is aimed at achieving. I'll hand you back to Edith Kimani.
Thank you very much, Joy Dorimbira. She will be joining us later for the sport. But just as she's mentioned, if you have any queries or if you just want to input your comment, what do you think about this whole issue? Do you think government is doing the right thing? Do you think they should stop? SMSs on 8040. The number is right on your screen in case you forget. But right now, let's turn our focus to a developing story where a house in Mlolongo collapsed and several people are feared dead while others are trapped after the building collapsed in Nairobi's Mlolongo area. Now, eyewitnesses say that the building, which was under construction, collapsed at about 6 p.m. Several construction workers are said to have been inside the building at the time of the incident, and rescue operations have been hampered by darkness. There's a pictures that we took earlier on in the day. You can see the darkness was already falling, and the lack of light is really impeding the rescue efforts. People are trying to get the people stuck under the rubble and boulders through hands. They don't have the proper equipment to do so, and so we're still waiting to see what will happen regarding that, and if any more details emerge, KTN will bring them to you. Elsewhere, former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga has announced that he will run for the presidency in the next general election. He made the announcement at the official launch of his political vehicle, Mkenya Solidarity Movement. The rally held at the Kamkunji grounds was attended by a section of ODM MPs who expressed solidarity with Njenga. Sophia Wanuna reports.
Thousands of supporters gathered at the Kamukunji grounds for the official launch of the Kenya Solidarity Movement, a movement that is set to be Maina Njenga's vehicle for the race to State House.
Kuna bishop kama mimi? Hakuna. Kuna kiongozi kama mimi?
Security was tight at the venue, with a human wall round Nairobi's Kamukunji grounds as youths frisked everyone seeking to get into the venue. Maina Njenga becomes the latest entrant into the race to State House under the Kenya Solidarity Movement. And at the official party launch here at Kamukunji grounds, ODM members were present to express solidarity with the former Mungiki leader. Budalangi MP and ODM Organizing Secretary Ababu Namwamba made his mission clear during the launch.
Kila mahali ninapoenda, ninatafuta recruitment. Na recruit wanajeshi wapi ambao wako tayari kwa vita vikamilifu vya ukombozi. Fire!
Jana tulikuwa Mombasa, tumetoka Mombasa asubuhi. Tulikuwa tumeenda kusomewa. Wakasema kutoka leo tuseme Mount Kenya daima. Kenya daima. Tukasema simply leo tunasema Mkenya Solidarity.
The presence of ODM MPs at the meeting is seen as ODM's efforts to make inroads in central Kenya and more so the youth vote in the region that Maina Njenga promises to deliver. Maina Njenga's Kenya National Youth Alliance supported Uhuru Kenyatta during the 2002 election in which Uhuru lost to Kibaki. Uhuru and Njenga have since parted ways and are engaged in a supremacy battle in central Kenya, something ODM is looking to capitalize on to earn votes from the vast central region. Despite renouncing the illegal sect, Maina Njenga, the former Mungiki leader, continues to deny and shake off claims of renewed association between him and the alleged resurgence of Mungiki, going by the hundreds of youth constantly around him.
Jameni, kila wakati kijana akisimama anasemekana huyu ni.
A tag his newfound friends are helping him remove.
Kuna wale ambao wametangaza mbio ya mgambo ya kwamba ati kuna vikundi vimeanza kuchipuka, ati Mungiki inarejea, ajitue macho.
Maina Njenga joins other presidential aspirants seeking Kenya's top job, saying that Kenya needs a new crop of leaders like himself that will bring youthful leadership and ensure peace in the country.
Basi sisi ndio katika mstari wa mbele kuwapatia wa Kenya ama.
Kenya Solidarity Movement's party leader is Gigi Kariuki. Whether Maina Njenga will be successful in shaking off the Mungiki tag and earn the confidence of Kenyans remains to be seen. Sophia Wanuna, KTN, Saturday Night Live.
Elsewhere, the National Security Intelligence Service is warning that a section of politicians have started meeting leaders of the outlawed Mombasa Republican Council and that such actions are tantamount to causing unrest during the election likely to be held in March next year. Esther Kahumbi comes to us now with that report from Mombasa.
While the political class continues to receive most of the backlash for the 2008 post-election violence, the country's security agents receive fair, if not equal, blame for failing to anticipate, prepare and prevent the violence. But be warned, the police and the National Intelligence Unit have vowed to closely monitor the goings-on to ensure that the scenario does not recur.
You have the solution to violence. But get it from me, what I went through, if I won't be the Commissioner of Police, God help you.
The mushrooming criminal gangs are viewed as a threat to national security, but worse, according to the spy chief Michael Gishangi, is a need by politicians to entice the groups for self-gain, and Gishangi is already issuing warning.
Some of us, again, on the issue of I, myself, or me, are busy, especially during the night, trying to cut deals or impress these particular groups. From here, those who tell us this is not Kenya, if we don't address it, if we continue at night cutting deals with these groups, we are courting disaster.
Today's session of the Peace Forum in Mombasa concentrated largely on electoral conduct and strategies for curbing hate speech. Today's message to the political class: battle against warmongers is not about to end.
Some of us won't even like to see us when that time comes, because you just need to alter those ones and somebody will be with you. So be warned, we have the gadgets. You won't say that you are misquoted.
Stakeholders have, however, raised concern about how effective the bodies tasked to ensure a free and fair election will carry out their work, given the limited resources.
Even if we have all these big projects, give us money this year. We can even cut 15% on infrastructure budget, put it to the institutions that are supposed to secure us. After we go through this bump, return the money back to those sectors.
We must also be sensitive that what is coming, what responsibility will be put on the shoulders of Isaac Hassan and his team is immense. They need resources, they need our support.
The two-day Peace Forum came to a close today with an assurance from both the security and intelligence services in the country that all was in place to ensure the safety of all Kenyans in the forthcoming general elections, but not without warning to the political class to ensure that they adhere to the rules set in place. Esther Kahumbi, KTN in Mombasa.
We're back to politics, and as the race to State House picks pace, presidential hopefuls are traversing the country to hunt for votes. But the campaign trail is punctuated by abrasive rhetoric as the presidential hopefuls try to outdo each other. KTN's Samogina reports on the political events of the day.
Prime Minister Raila Odinga led the ODM Reloaded Brigade in Naivasha to consolidate the party's support base in one of the worst affected areas by the 2007-2008 post-election violence.
Wale ambao walichoma manyumba ya watu, unajua walitoka wapi? Sivyo? Sivyo? Ndio sababu tukasema mpaka tutibu ugonjwa hii ili kuzuia na marudio ya dhuluma kama yale ambayo yalifanyika mwaka 2008.
And just a day after President Mwai Kibaki hinted of having his preferred successor in mind, ODM leaders continued their onslaught on Deputy Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi as the State House project.
Tunataka project ya Wakenya wote. Tunataka rais ya watu wa Kenya, si ndio? Tunataka tuchague Raila ili tuanze safari hii tulianza kitambo.
Tumeambiwa kuna projects nyingi ambao tumewekewa in the name of presidential aspirants. Hao projects wote wamewekwa pale waharibu, wavunje chama cha ODM.
Wanasema ndio Raila alikuwa ni Pele. Ati Pele amezeeka. Ati sasa sijui Messi amekuja. Na wale ambao wanasema ni Messi, wao ni rugby player.
But in a quick rebuttal in Trans Nzoia at the burial of the father of former Lugari MP Enoch Kibunguchi, the Sabati MP told of ODM that the presidency is not reserved for a single person in the Kibaki succession race.
The government of Mwai Kibaki has created 6 political parties to perpetuate his community in power.
In Samburu County, Deputy Prime Minister Uhuru Kenyatta pitched tent in the town for the 3rd day in a row. The DPM stated that those opposed to his candidature because he did not fight for the multi-party democracy as they did are being uneconomical with the truth. Urging for a peaceful election, Uhuru maintained his innocence over post-election violence turmoil, saying his case at the ICC will not deter him from the State House race. The DPM statement comes against the backdrop of the ICC status conference scheduled for next week Monday and Tuesday, preceding trials for the accused Ocampo 4. Journalist Joshua Sang and his lawyers have already departed for The Hague to take part in the proceedings that will lay rules of engagement between the accused and the court. Samogina, KTN Saturday Night.
Well, let's shift gears to health issues now. And operations in the 9 branches of Gertrude's Children's Hospital in Nairobi were on lockdown after doctors made good their threat to go on strike. A majority of the doctors defied the management's threats to terminate their contracts and stayed away. Now, the hospital and the doctors' union have maintained their positions in the standoff. KTN's Ansel Mwendia reports.
There is no turning back. That's the message the Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, is passing to Gertrude's Children's Hospital and other private facilities. The union wants the private hospital to recognize it as part of a constitutional right of every worker. The union has recruited 44 out of 72 doctors employed at the hospital, and by midday Saturday, 38 had confirmed they were on strike. Business at Gertrude's main hospital at Muthaiga was off to a slow start in the morning. As you can see, patients did actually come to the Gertrude's Children's Hospital here at Muthaiga. I have been here twice or thrice before, and I can tell you that the numbers are not as high as I have seen previously. Nonetheless, operations did not grind to a halt here. We are told that doctors are seeing patients, but we are not able to verify whether they are indeed employed by the hospital or were contracted to avert this crisis, or whether indeed they are members of the union. They have declined to be interviewed or to even appear on camera.
40 doctors would be at work on any one day, and about 24 of those have reported and are expected to report.
At the Lavington branch, I encountered a similar low turnout of patients. The hospital pinned a notice at the entrance warning patients that they would be offering limited services.
So ni kama kuna upungufu wa madaktari. Ya hiyo ndio ile report nimepata.
Doctors employed at the hospital who spoke to us on condition of anonymity said that those who reported to work were mainly newly employed doctors who were still on probation and foreigners permitted to work only at Gertrude's.
We know that they have threatened a lot of our colleagues, especially those who are still on probation. Those who have also been there for very many years have been threatened and have been compelled, told that their contracts will not be put on they will not be confirmed. We will not take this lightly.
We are not in the business of issuing threats to anybody. We respect the rights of the individuals to make a choice. If there have been allegations, I want to categorically deny such allegations of threats.
The hospital maintains that the strike is illegal and will take legal action against striking doctors.
What to do with the doctors who did not show up for work is basically an internal matter.
The bone of contention is recognition of the doctors' union. Both parties say they are open to dialogue but differ on the approach to the recognition.
We are not opposed to doctors either joining the union or we recognizing the union. The only thing we said is that we have to do it through an umbrella organization of private hospital.
It's the individual employers who have to recognize the union. Once the recognition has been met by these particular individual institutions, then if they decide to come together under the umbrella of private hospital association, then we'll negotiate with them.
Gertrude's doctors complain of low wages compared to their colleagues in public hospitals. On Friday, a case emerged of a female doctor whose contract was changed from permanent to temporary barely a month into employment after it was discovered that she was expecting a baby. The hospital denied the allegation.
Upon the removal of a permanent contract, she was given a temporary contract that expired at the expected date of delivery.
We did not change a contract.
And if they are aggrieved, we find that they are aggrieved, we are not afraid to retract any action.
But as long as the standoff over recognition continues, the union remains unable to directly engage the hospital on behalf of its staff. Anso Mwendia, KTN Saturday Night.
Former President Daniel Arap Moi says the recently created 47 counties need proper management if they're to prosper. The counties are seen as the focal point for the devolved government under the current constitution. KTN's Zipporah Karani reports from Nakuru.
Former President Daniel Arap Moi arrived at Marymount Secondary School to help raise funds for the construction of a building within the institution. Students, alumni, parents, Catholic diocese within Nakuru County, teachers and parents attended the event. The president said the recently 47 counties spelled out in the constitution will not be easy to manage.
Kama ingekuwa ile kubwa mtu angehangaika kuweka kama ilivyokuwa provincial provinces, ingekuwa kubwa na hakutakuwa kuna shida, lakini kutakuwa kuna shida, kaunti zingine zitakwenda bankrupt na itakuwa shida kwa wananchi wote.
The former president said meetings between members of parliament for a peaceful election will not be successful if the rest of Kenyans were not involved.
Peace in a manner which is not sensible. They say hate, they must legislate, have a legislation to cover cohesion, people to unite. None of us can make anybody to be united except God.
Zipporah Karani, KTN, from the county of Nakuru.
Thank you very much, Zipporah Karani. That story brings us squarely into the break. But remember, this evening, we are asking you for your opinion. We did hear that the government is going to offer free syringes to drug-injecting users, injecting drug users, I beg your pardon. So we're asking you what you think about this. 8040 is our SMS number. But coming up, Joy Torinvira will be telling us more about the Baraza Tribunal and many more stories. Stay tuned.
dreams and aspirations fuel our energy. A sense of being in every little thing we do, bringing us closer in so many ways with one agenda: to achieve our goals. At UAP, we enhance lives across Africa to deliver the dreams we all hold so dear. Insurance, investment management, property investment, and financial advisory. UAP, better, simple life.
Niambie siri yako wewe.
Siri gani? Zoya Sugar, sweetening Kenya since 1978. Strength and wisdom beyond borders.
The Kabarak University Half Marathon will be held on 30th June 2012 in Mogotio town. The race begins from 6 a.m. at the Equator and finishes at the Kabarak University grounds. Registration is 300 shillings for the 21-kilometer half marathon, 1,000 shillings for the 5-kilometer corporate race, and 100 shillings for the children's race. You can register at all transnational bank branches, Mobile World offices, and CAS offices North Rift. Registration closes on 25th June. There are great cash prizes and heifers to be won. Proceeds from the marathon will help support Ngata Baby Care for abandoned children. Kabarak University, world-class education in biblical perspective.
And now, introducing another one from Home of Quality. Triple distilled Crescent Vodka, now available. Kerocha Breweries Limited, leaders in quality. The home of quality. Truly Kenyan.
New Airwick Fresh Magic. Just set the timer and it releases bursts of fresh fragrance automatically and brightens your home. Something in the Airwick.
As Kenya continues to develop at the county level, you are more and more interested in the stories and issues that touch on your county. That's why the County Weekly is committed to giving you more of the facts you care about. Facts about your county, Your stories, your issues, your county. County Weekly. It's new, it's fresh, it's relevant. Get your copy today.
Welcome back to KTN Saturday Night. We're glad you're still with us. Jojo Indore is standing by. She'll be joining us shortly. But first, we had asked you what you think of the government's move to give out free syringes to drug users who inject themselves. And just 2 SMSs here. Yes, the government has a good idea of supplying syringes to drug users, but it's much better if they would offer rehab services. That's Nixon Ndogire from Kindaruma. Somebody else here says, I'm not too sure if they're being sarcastic. They say if the government offers syringes to drug users, they might as well offer them drugs. It would be very unfair to give them syringes only. That's Hillary from Runda. Thank you for your SMSs. Keep them coming. 8040 is our SMS number. But now, over to you, Joy.
Thank you very much, Edith. Well, we'll move on to more other stories. The tribunal to investigate the conduct of suspended Deputy Chief Justice and Vice President of the Supreme Court, Lady Justice Nancy Baraza, will start hearing a case of misconduct against her from the first week of July. To be precise, it just might be about the 2nd of July. And according to the tribunal's chairman, Tanzania's retired Chief Justice Agostino Ramadhani, Lady Justice Nancy Baraza holds the ultimate decision on whether the proceedings will be conducted in public or not.
Retired Justice Agostino Ramadhani chaired a meeting of the tribunal appointed to probe Lady Justice Nancy Baraza Thursday this week and agreed to serve Baraza with a notice of hearing next week. The tribunal has been in existence for 4.5 months. On 25th January this year, President Kibaki suspended Justice Nancy Baraza and appointed a 7-member tribunal to investigate her conduct. This was after a 9-member subcommittee appointed by Chief Justice Willy Mutunga to investigate complaints made against Baraza concluded she had breached the code of conduct for judicial officers. Security guard Rebecca Kerubo has accused Baraza of assault while on duty at the Village Market Mall on the eve of the New Year. Kerubo claims Baraza brandished a pistol in her face and also pinched her nose when she demanded to search Baraza's handbag during a routine security check. Members of the tribunal were sworn in on 1st February, but could not begin work when Justice Baraza went to court to block the tribunal from investigating her. The High Court endorsed the probe mid-March. 3 months on, Justice Baraza is yet to be grilled. The desire by Tanzanians to have a new constitution partly explains the delay. How, you may ask? Well, on 6th April this year, President Jakaya Kikwete appointed Agostino Ramadhani the Vice Chair of a National Commission to oversee the review of Tanzania's constitution. President Kikwete has directed the commission to finish its work by October next year, complete with a draft document ready for debate in Parliament. Tanzanians are set to adopt or reject the new constitution early 2014. This partly explains the confusion at KICC mid-April when the tribunal was expected to start work. Ramadhani skipped the anticipated rollout of Baraza's probe. He was in Tanzania to be sworn in and get a brief on new duties. Ramadhani now says his team is ready to grill Baraza on expiry of their 14-day notice to her to appear before the tribunal. In a statement to newsrooms, Ramadhani says the hearings will be in private unless Lady Justice Baraza opts for a public hearing. Article 168(7)(b) of the Constitution demands of the tribunal to inquire into the matter expeditiously and report on the facts and make binding recommendations to the President. But then, will Ramadhani fully chair the proceedings, with his hands apparently full from another weighty and demanding assignment at home? In the meantime, Nancy Baraza continues to earn half salary, for she remains suspended until the tribunal decides. Patrick Amimo, KTN Saturday Night.
Thanks a lot, Patrick Amimo. Now, let's get a turn away from all the political talk and get into some of these issues that do affect us as human beings. You may have heard of memory loss. Different people have different, tales to tell about it. And to some, it's long term. To others, it's just short term. And through the inspiration it all brings about, there's an inspirational story of a lady called Brenda Koros, a young lady who suffered a tragic accident, who lost her memory only for her to regain it later on in her lifetime. Now we bring you the walls, surrounding memory loss in our weekly feature that is Healthy You.
It's a day that will pass as ordinary, but for the Koros family, emotions run deep every time they take a walk down memory lane to this tragic accident, which not only took away their father, but also left one Brenda Koros with memory loss for years. It was a time they would choose to forget, but no, the events were too catastrophic to overlook.
I was asking myself, I've nursed people for many years, over 20 years now. Why couldn't God give me a chance to nurse him?
Rachel Koros, mother to Brenda Koros, talks of how difficult it was for her. With her husband dead, she not only had that grief to bear, but also the anxiety and uncertainty of Brenda's condition, who by this time was critically ill, and to make things worse, could not remember a thing, not even her own name, her next of kin, and even the tragic loss of her father, a man they were together in the same car on their way to Chogoria Girls High School.
In fact, now she was being reviewed by a psychiatrist because she was confused. She was talking things which were not making sense.
As they narrate to me, Brenda's memory loss was most taxing to them as a family physically, emotionally, psychologically, and financially too. They were lucky to receive reliable support from family and friends. Brenda Koros had a more difficult hurdle to overcome. Even after her discharge from hospital, things were far from over, with numerous checkups to ensure smooth transition in regaining her memory. What dealt more blows to her was the not so conducive environment she met, as some of her schoolmates did not understand what she was going through.
So maybe I borrow a book from someone, I borrow something from someone, I just forget to return it. It really becomes something big. And I'm like, I can't remember.
She was so wild, she was so violent. Now that, okay, the memory was not there, she could not even open the eyes, but she had the energy, she could fight.
Brenda, a bright student, began posting way below average grades in school due to her memory loss.
People are like, you're just wasting time and you're wasting resources, It was so demoralizing and challenging for me in school. At times I would be like, I'll give up.
She sat for her KCSE exam and scored a B+.
Because everyone expects everyone to know what exam we have tomorrow. I'm studying for some other subject. Maybe I'm doing biology or physics. Then the next morning, I see a chemistry paper. I'm like, I expected another paper. So it's like I never revised for that subject. And things are really bad. So I was an immaterial.
By this time, the memory had come back. In fact, her memory came back when she was in Form 4. She challenged me and told me, Mommy, where is your faith? Do you know where we have come from?
Owing to this story, we sought to find out just what is memory loss. What does it entail? Do patients who suffer from memory loss recover? And if so, how? Meet Dr. Tobias Kichari, one of the doctors actively involved in Brenda's treatment.
Memory loss really comes as a result of issues dealing with the brain, actually, and the brain when it cannot recognize.
According to him, it is a condition attributed to many causes. These range from side effects of medication, depression, tragic accidents, diseases like Alzheimer's, drug abuse, emotional stress, and lack of vitamin B12, which protects neurons that are vital to the healthy operations of the brain.
If it's a disease, then you treat those diseases. For example, if it is diabetes, if it is hypertension, which again can also cause memory line depending on what level one is at in this type of diseases. If it is emotional or stress, then the involvement of counseling and also the involvement of appropriate treatment and the rest of it, which again will be by the specialist, then that will also be taken care of.
The most common preventable cause of memory loss is brain trauma, mostly caused by head injuries. Preventative measures such as wearing a seatbelt while driving or a helmet can reduce the risk of head injury. Eating nutritious foods and reducing stress helps prevent memory loss. Patients who experience memory loss as a result of aging may keep their brain cells healthy and active, with exercise and dietary supplements.
Depending on how long one is, for example, in that brain damage, that is level of consciousness and the rest, it will therefore it will also dictate on how soon one now regains the memory loss or regains the loss that we are talking about.
Dr. Kichari says that as it is evident in Brenda's case, complete recovery from memory loss is possible. All that is required is proper treatment, a conducive environment, and reliable support systems.
Well, we all have memory loss at some point, but I guess it is not taken as serious as it should be, and this can actually cause even graver effects, like that young girl there. Her story is quite appalling. Now, let's look at our weekly feature, and this week we take a look at skating, a sport that is fast gaining popularity not only among the old but also the young, who are picking quite a number of lessons. You know, it's not just about the sport, but they're also life lessons you can get from skating.
You may have seen people use these to move from one place to the other and are in turn able to avoid traffic jams, finding it exciting, convenient, or even dangerous. What you may not know is that skating has gained popularity in our society. This here is a skating club, Sky Skaters, which holds weekly sessions to perfect their expertise in the sport. Meet Hanan Joki, a 30-year-old trained teacher by profession who's driven by the urge to introduce a new generation to the thrill of speed, which is skating. She tells us that it has been a not-so-smooth experience, having only 4 clients and 10,000 Kenyan shillings to start up. Today, Sky Skaters enjoys a client base of over 70 people and growing.
We grew progressively until where we are today.
We caught up with them during one of their sessions. These children here take every step to ensure their safety during practice. It is not so easy, as one has to take one step at a time. And when you fall, don't give up, rise and continue.
Life is about challenges. It's about falling down, waking up, and working at it.
After preparations, it is all systems go. There are 3 groups in this club, that of beginners, intermediate, and the advanced group. These groups vary depending on how well you master the sport. However, as Hannah's colleague John reveals to us, this craze in town is not without challenges.
Challenges are location. Somewhere where someone can just skate, it's kind of difficult finding someone to skate. So if it's not for this park even that we normally use over the weekends, you'd find skating would be very difficult. So we'd have to skate on the roads, quite unsafe to do that.
Parents who bring their children here say they find the sport engaging and a good source of teamwork building.
It allows them to start seeing things that in a perspective. Life is not going to always give you things that you expect. It's going to give you things you don't expect, and you have to learn how to meet up the challenge and conquer that challenge and move on. So it just gives them a wider scope, and for me it's been a really interesting experience.
It's more or less for fun, definitely for her to bond, to get new friends. Discipline, I hear it helps on discipline in a way, and hopefully she will learn something from it. I'm hoping to see some improvement.
According to Hannah, to be a good skater, it's important to maintain body balance. One also has to overcome any fears, master the courage to pursue skating, and be comfortable with it, something these young ones have acquired.
Skating is very fun, and all my friends like skating. It's fun, educative, and exercising.
To create and maintain a competitive spirit, skating competitions are held every 3 months at Kasarani National Stadium.
Well, everyone can say there's no better way to help your kids grow up. It's fun, educative, and exercising. You're watching KTN Saturday night, and well, still to come is sport. And with the game ongoing, Malawi and Kenya, well, it doesn't seem like good news for Kenya. But we can hope that the second half will turn out quite very well. We'll take a short break. Sport is still to come.
Tell girls everywhere, you are a woman, you have reproductive rights. You should never, ever, ever be discriminated against on basis of pregnancy. This is something that has been happening. It's rampant in private hospitals, and I'm not saying all of them.
Pinotage is a red wine made in a medium to full-bodied style for early enjoyment. The wine is matured in French oak staves for 9 months to add a bit of spice and complexity. This varietal goes well with red meat dishes and pasta. Drostihof. Every year is a good year. Lights across Africa. Insurance, investment management, property investment, and financial advisory. UAP. Better, simple life. And now, introducing another one from Home of Quality. Triple distilled Crescent Vodka. Now available. Keroche Breweries Limited, leaders in quality, the home of quality. Truly Kenyan.
It's time to migrate your analog TV to the beautiful new world of digital television. Simply buy an approved DVB T2 set-top box from an authorized dealer today. Connect your UHF aerial and hook it up to your TV for a crystal clear connection to your favorite TV stations and many more. Digital TV, a beautiful new world of entertainment.
As Kenya continues to develop at the county level, you are more and more interested in the stories and issues that touch on your county. That's why the County Weekly is committed to giving you more of the facts you care about. Facts about your county, your stories, your issues, your county. County Weekly. It's new, it's fresh, it's relevant. Get your copy today.
Welcome back, and now it's time for us to look at sport, but first we'll give you an update on the game that was played between Kenya and Namibia. Earlier on, I think my mind was so bent on the game that was played last weekend where, Kenya drew 0-0 in that very game there. But today, well, Kenya doesn't seem to be doing well as well. That was after Namibia beat Kenya 1-0 in the World Cup qualifiers. But well, there's more games to play. Hope Kenya can, get some wheat and pull up something. Now let's look at what's happening here locally. The 2012 Safari Rally was flooded in Kajiado, forcing the organizers to cancel the event on safety grounds on the second day. The event restarts tomorrow with Carl Tundo on the lead after, we saw the pace setter Ulster Kavner bowed out of the rally alongside 10 other drivers.
The big boys were at it once again in the Safari Rally Day 2. Balev Chaga, Ian Duncan, Ulster Kavner and Peter Horsey were the leaders of the day. The race was evidently a tight affair as superior engines revved away from competition. Pressure mounted on Ulster Kavner, and as his speed increased, so were his chances of exciting the Safari. Surrendered the lead to teammate and defending champion Carl Tundo. Balev Chaga now lies third overnight behind Carl Tundo and Ian Duncan.
The timings are very close. Puncher could change everything for anybody, so it's still an open battle between the top 5, I'd say, or top 4. I'm not sure what the time differences are after the top 3.
However, flash floods forced the cancellation of the fourth competitive stage, and some drivers, including Charles Singer and Ben Mushemi, walked away with their lives after surviving the elements.
The road has changed, to tell you the truth. Anywhere that the water has passed, there are either rocks on the road, all have been swept out, or the soil has been swept out.
The clerk of the course has directed the restart of the rally on the third day, pending the final route survey and safety consideration. Key drivers including Jas Magat of Uganda, Ben Mushemi, Charles Hinga, Issa Mwari, Haraka Mamas and Warembo Bila Makeup crew retired from the rally. After the cancellation of CS4 and also Ulster Kavner pulling out of the rally, now the top 6 positions are the ones who are contesting for the Safari Rally title. Who knows, maybe it might be Carl Tundo, Balev Chaga or even Peter Horsey. From Ilbisel in Kajiado, I'm Nicholas Mudimba.
Thanks, Nicholas. Now, just giving you some more updates on the Kenya-Namibia game. Kenya lost her first match of the World Cup qualifying campaign this evening after losing by 1-0 to the hosts, that is Namibia, away in Windhoek. And according to what they say, the winning goal for Namibia was scored in the 90th minute through Henrik. That was Bota, and Kenya will be frustrated with the results, of course, considering, the Stars skipper, that is Dennis Oliech, missing a sitter earlier on in the second half, while Nigeria were held by Malawi to a 1-1 draw at the home. Kenya, needed to have won at least this time, to comfortably secure a safe spot in Group F. As it stands now, Kenya is now placed last in Group F, Malawi with 1 point, and of course the goal Namibia have stormed to the second place ahead of Malawi and Kenya. Nigeria sits at the top of the table despite a draw. And moving on to more sport, a top of the table match pitting former European football